Australian Open 2026. Alexandra Eala sparks Filipino frenzy as fans turn up in huge numbers. Filipino tennis star Alexandra Eala received home crowd support during her first round of the women's singles match against Alycia Parks of the USA at the Australian Open 2026 on Monday, January 19. The opening round of the ongoing edition of the Australian Open is her first appearance at Melbourne Park, completing her Grand Slam main draw appearances at all four majors. Alexanda Eala entered the tournament as an unseeded player, securing direct entry into the women's singles main draw based on her WTA ranking. The Filipino tennis player featured in the main draw of the Australian Open 5 years after winning the junior girls doubles title at Melbourne Park. The 20-year-old headed into the first Grand Slam of the season after breaking into the top 50 in the WTA rankings, the first Filipino tennis player to achieve this feat in professional singles rankings, following her semifinal run at the ASB Classic in Auckland. Eala's Australian Open debut sparks Filipino frenzy. Alexandra Eala's main draw debut at the Australian Open was more like a home match, as Filipino fans turned up in large numbers to cheer their trailblazing star at Melbourne Park. Eala may not be a household name in global tennis yet, but her passionate following from the Philippines made her debut feel electric and unforgettable. In a video that went viral on social media, a huge line was seen snaking outside Court 6, where Eala was facing off against American Alycia Parks, as the fans queued for hours just to secure a spot and watch her play, underscoring immense excitement around her main draw debut at the Australian Open. The Filipino crowd was loud, cheerful, and unwavering in her support, waving Philippine flags and chanting Eala's name throughout the match. When Alexandra Eala dominated Alycia Parks with a battle in the first set, the crowd erupted in celebration, cheering wildly and creating an electric atmosphere, which was rarely seen for a first round of a Grand Slam match. However, those Filipino fans who could not secure their spots to watch Eala play gathered outside nearby fan zones and screens outside the venue, ensuring that they could still take part in the festive-like atmosphere and follow every moment of the match despite the capacity issues and long queues at Melbourne Park. Alexandra Eala's Australian Open main draw debut drew massive attention from fans and media alike, thanks to the Filipino crowd support that turned Melbourne Park into a sea of Philippine flags, chants, and unbridled excitement for the young tennis star, who is seen as the next big thing in women's tennis. Eala's Australian Open debut ends early. Though Alexandra Eala's Australian Open main draw debut sparked a massive Filipino crowd at Melbourne Park, the young tennis star ultimately bowed out in the first round after a hard-fought match against Alycia Parks, falling 0-6, 3-6, 2-6. Eala's dominance in the opening set sparked hopes of a historic first-round win for the Filipino star. However, Parks' resilience and tactical adjustments in the next two sets ultimately proved too strong for the 20-year-old rising star, ending Eala's dream debut, but not diminishing the excitement and pride she inspired among her Filipino supporters, who thronged in large numbers at Melbourne Park to cheer for the young trailblazer and celebrate her historic Grand Slam milestone. Alexandra Eala made her Grand Slam debut at the French Open in 2025, becoming the first woman from the Philippines to qualify for the main draw of a major. However, the 20-year-old had an early exit from the tournament after losing to Emiliana Arango of Colombia in the first round. In the same year, Eala made her Wimbledon main draw debut, where she lost to Caroline Dahlheid of the USA in the first round. At the US Open last year, Alexandra Eala scripted history by becoming the first Filipino tennis player to win a main draw match of a Grand Slam in the Open era, defeating Clara Tauson of Denmark in the first round and qualified for the second round, where she lost to Cristina Buxa of Spain.